This episode begins, like many others, with a flashback of a time 500 years ago, with the awakening of Jin to a young Laura. It appears she did it out of impulse, and the man who stole the core is not very happy. He intends to kill her, but even a newborn Jin is strong enough to take down a likely drunk and stressed out middle aged man. Jin looks at the little lady with a kindness we haven't seen in the modern day from him, probably because she's basically dead and he failed to protect her. It sounds like a skill issue if you ask me. We return to modern day Jin, who's only just now reawakening after he overexerted himself on Temperantia. Malos has a minor identity crisis, and we swap over to Indal, where Araya and Morardain are meeting together to discuss the recent events and how Morardain needs to make up for the things that happened. Morag, Yazik, and Mithra are all to attend the meeting, and we decide to escort them over there. But let's take a roundabout trip, shall we? I'll spare most of the details, but I start by heading back to Mochichi to finally max out our salvager rank, giving us some alright rewards, and that's about it. Heading to Araya, I do some blade chart things around there, as well as finally grab that big chest we did an out of bounds glitch for in the basement. I've been pulling blades as well, but no rares came up at this point. I start Agate's quest so I can upgrade her affinity chart a little bit more, as even if I'll likely never have a good chance to use her again, given the lack of overdrive protocols available, another option in my pocket is another option. Never know when she might come in handy. That said, I don't make much progress in her quests. That'll be a future thing for me to do on my own time, probably. I also thought about giving Howitzer Leon a try, but it goes about as poorly as you'd expect when Gianna are such a pain. But that's not the only UM I have my eyes set on this episode. I next take many stabs at Azure Reginald, one of the most annoyingly positioned unique monsters in the entire game, and to make matters worse, he has nearly 4 million health on Bringer of Chaos. That's a lot of health for a man in his early 40s to take down. I try a variety of things, all the way from a normal attempt to trying to go for full burst to something a bit more unique in strategy that maybe could have worked with a bit of luck, but we'll get to that in a second. Starting with the full burst idea, I'll be frank, our damage just isn't high enough to make it worth doing in the end. Granted, I never quite managed to get the full burst to end on Pyra, who was the strongest damage character I had in the fight thanks to the Shining Star chip. However, after a large number of direct attempts and some time pondering what I should do, and by that I mean talking to people on Discord so I can just do whatever, I come to make a discovery. These flying snake fish dragon things can take fall damage, and a lot of it too. All you need to do is topple them from up on this area here. So I do the thing it is that I do and head to Temperantia, where I can briefly attempt to 1v1 a unique monster with Morag, which goes unexpectedly well until it didn't, and then do a bit of slaying of enemies to get an array light chip for Cosmos, which increases ether cannon range by 5 meters. Between that and my range up 5 Aux core, I can get Cosmos just enough range to snipe Reginald from on top of this coral bowl, and we can commence the plan. The first few breaks and topples aren't too hard to get off, and each time Reginald takes fall damage like this, it's damage capping, so we only need around 4 or 5 fall damage moments to take him down. However, there's a problem. Once Reginald enrages, he becomes significantly harder to break due to Bringer of Chaos buffs for enraged enemies. After actually doing all the math for once, a terrifying reality sets in. I'm saying this now so my future self doesn't have to remember, but I did the calculations, and after he enrages, I have a 4% chance to inflict break. So I'm relying on that to happen twice. But it's possible. Possible though it may be, my time is not infinite, and I'm very quickly over-leveling as it is. So I decided to stop here and go beat up an old foe, Jadeite Polly. My initial plan was to boost my defenses to as high as I could, but unfortunately after a couple tries I realized this doesn't work as well as I'd like against Polly, at least not with the way things are at the moment. So I changed my tactics to the exact opposite. If even heightened defenses can't survive an enraged Polly, maybe I just need to take down her health so quickly that she doesn't have time to do anything with enrage. I take a few attempts, but eventually, Using Pyro with the fusion combo, I managed to just do that. Man, I love it when enemies have low health. It makes me feel so good. From here, we have a couple more side content things to do. And to start, it's finally time. This has been an incredibly short episode so far, but in practice, this all took me a couple days to do, and during that time, I put my nose to the grindstone, and it's finally time to finish Ursula's quest. We talk to T-Taps, head to Moradane, and have ourselves a nice little concert. Which means, after all this time, I can finally use Ursula whenever the hell I want. So let's go and do just that, to finally finish up a quest that I would have wanted to get done a while ago. It, goes unusually well. I'm higher level than I was last episode, but who knew Ursula was the key to beating down this trio of drivers? Unfortunately, that's not the end of the quest, and the next opponent, Ferocious Jugger, is significantly harder than that band of lackeys. And I'd say it boils down to two things: him having evasion arts, and that really stupid art Magnum Edge. It hurts like hell, and even Morag has trouble evading it on her own. I swap out Tora for Rats, hoping for more consistent topples, as well as Mithra Foresight, which is enough to help us get us through the fight. After Judder comes our rematch with you and Zuo, and... well, I maybe got a bit power happy during this fight, and got myself taken down a couple times. They don't have much health or much in the way of a gimmick, so it's easy enough to take down Zuo, who I focus fire first because he has a taunt, but you slapped me silly after enraging right after. Third try, I take things a little slower and managed to get the win without any issue, so that's nice. Some talk later, and the Merc group is now ranked 3. Some more blade chart grinding later, and we move on to another sideshow.
Poppy's battle prowess increased. Poppy Alpha perfected.
It is finally time for the quest of all time, one that I've been planning to do since before I started this playthrough, because I thought it would be doable the hard way here. Again, I'll spare details because they aren't overly important, but in the quest Whereabouts Unknown, you have the option to fight a level 91 Soros, or come back after a bit of prep and fight it at a subdued level 35. We, of course, are doing it at level 91. Now, to be expected, this thing hits hard. Like, absurdly hard. But who cares? With enough evasion, Morag here can easily avoid 99.99% of attacks, giving us our method of victory. So that's the gist of our strategy, and I should mention I've got her boosted to around 550 agility with the use of Pentagon Chip, but what of the little things for this fight? For starters, never go directly behind the Soros. I'm playing as Rex because reasons, and he will absolutely be brutalized by Dynatail, so stick to the double spinning edge area. Second, try not to get too close to the Soros itself. Can easily get hit by Dynaflare like that, as it has a narrow AoE equipped to a stupid hitbox scaling. Dynacyclone seems to have a bizarre hitbox in a frontal cone, but all that matters is staying to the side means Rex is less likely to be smacked around by it. Be wary of how close your art spam is taking to the Soros, backing up when needed, and in general, be wary of how much you're spamming with Rex or Zeke. Morag losing aggro is a near guaranteed loss, and it happens to me once or twice. Morag also isn't completely invincible like this. There's still a very, very small chance she will be hit in this situation, which happens exactly once when the Soros was nearly dead. But keep at it and stay on your toes, and with a bit of luck, the game will prove evasion strats to be overpowered as all hell, and you can beat the Soros to get a spiral chip and some other late game goodies early on. And also, you can overlevel some more. Awesome. It took more attempts than you might have expected, given the amount of broken it probably looks, but I can promise you right now that I will never be abusing this strategy more than I have to. And I can tell you right now that if I wanted to, I could probably beat the game with this near exact setup, with occasional tweaking to art scores and stuff. But where's the fun in that? From here, I'd go to take on one more unique monster, and given that we've overleveled by a fair margin at this point, Slasher Buffin isn't much of a difficult fight, even mainly using Perun as my blade on Rex. It's a driver enemy, so beware of that, but otherwise there's nothing to note here. Just win good and try hard, or something, I don't know. I head back to Darfon to do the next quest, which has no fighting whatsoever, and make Zengrid a new admin of the Merc group. We can now dispatch 3 Merc bands at once, not that I will probably need that for a while, and have a few solid new merch missions to do. But that's unimportant, because it's finally time to head back to the main story. We send Mithra and the others to the meeting, where politics happen. I'll summarize by saying she's not happy, he's being very roundabout with his words, and the best character in the game is human. After a bit of going around, we somewhat managed to convince Rakura that war isn't necessary here, and that this was all the cause of Torna. Speaking of, Torna is here to do nothing, actually, just provide commentary and talk about how strong they are. After the meeting, a funeral is held for Fan Lenorn, during which Nia and Mithra talk about Rex and Fan and why she didn't return to her core crystal. Mithra doesn't seem to quite know what's going on, just that it's not natural. We talk to Amalthus again, who tells us some stuff about Ophion and Tantal and the device that can control Ophion, the Omega Fetter. He asks us to go to Tantal to open up the way to the World Tree, which is obviously what we were going to do anyway once we knew about it. He tells us that the Tantalese are supposedly descended from Adam, as seen in the royal family crest of Tantal. We begin to make our way out of Indal, but first, I remember a thing it is that I wanted to do after seeing an informant here in Indal, so I buy his Greedy Master info sheet and head to the Chantag Waste, where I fish out a gluttonous Marin. It takes a few tries to beat since I was using the world's dumbest team possible, but we eventually managed to take it down and get the lucky core crystal, which I pull on Zeke.
Cassandra here! I will work day and night to ensure our happiness.
Cassandra here is quite the cutie, but she's a shield hammer, which comes with its own issues, on top of her being more offensively built than most hammers in the hardest way for her possible. She comes with an innate crit healing skill, which is hard to work around without DLC due to hammers having the lowest natural crit rate in the entire game, and minimal damage increases otherwise. But she isn't completely horrible, so we'll use her occasionally, probably. For now, back to Indal, where we learn that Banna is going to attempt to assassinate the bigwigs of each country in order to start a war that he can profit off of. So Morad wants us to look into it, as she doesn't think she could do it on her own, and Nira wants it to be kept under wraps as much as possible. We ask around, and eventually come to the conclusion that Banna intends to have the food at the banquet poisoned by Turkans. So we head to the kitchens of the ship, where we do indeed see some Turkans cooking up a storm of good food. We decide to fight first and to ask questions later, and this fight isn't really hard at all. They aren't fighters, they're chefs. I used Cassandra a bit, which makes it take some extra time, but I just wanted to give her the time in the limelight. As it turns out, though, no, these aren't Turkans planning to poison the banquet goers. They're a famous band of chefs that just so happen to also be Turkan. Oops. Pupunin demands compensation, but instead he gets ghosted as some big explosion or something happens in the hangar of the battleship. And guess who it is? Banna alone, piloting a new and improved Giga Rosa. We need to stop him from committing several cases of regicide in a row, so we take the fight to him. Per theming, I play as Tora because artificial blades and Napon means he's the most fitting, obviously, and to be honest, this fight is kind of rough. When he says new and improved, he means it, as she is no joke this time. Well, not as much of a joke, anyway. She can hit for damage now, on top of her occasionally annoying arts. She can do a party topple without too much difficulty, and usually follows it up by an auto attack that will inflict launch. However, something I think first discovered in the last couple years is that you can actually mash to get out of topple sooner, which does impact this fight slightly, as we never have to worry about being launched. However, she does get spike damage once enraged, which causes problems in its own way, as plenty of Tora's arts are multi-hit. Honestly, the fight itself probably isn't all that hard if you're going in smartly, but I did not do that, so I struggled for a few attempts. You still want to seal self-destruct to neutralize Ultra Bang Bang, but aside from that, it's a relatively basic fight without any unique gimmicks to worry about. Just build for spike damage and AoE healing and you'll be fine. We take down Rosa eventually, and this all happens.
How? Even Giga Rosa defeated by these nasty, meddling kids.
This ends here, Bana. You are under arrest. The Praetorium will handle the judgment. Assassination is a serious matter. Your sentence will be harsh.
So the mercantile genius Banner meets an inglorious end before my very eyes. Pitiful.
Banner is... Banner is not kind of man to go down like this.
Ah.
If I go down, I take you with me.
Watch out! Aegeon! As you wish.
Niall Ardenack, you sought to protect us?
I'm glad.
Majesty! Majesty! Your Majesty, please, no!
Your Majesty, I have failed you.
It can't be. To protect us, you... Please, wake up. Niall! Niall!
Morag.
Romak,
Yes?
distract the others.
Distract? I'm not sure No. My lady, you cannot.
There's still time. Hurry!
Yes, my lady. There are more of them!
Where?
What'd you say?
This way! The rest of you should get to safety.
Chum! I'm on it! You are...
Shh. You're gonna be fine.
What do you mean, imagined it? You got us all in a proper tizzy.
My apologies. I thought I spied silhouettes. I did not mean to cause trouble.
Hey! Huh?
You guys! His Majesty the Emperor is awake!
What?
Can it be?
Majesty?
I apologize for making you worry.
Majesty! It's a miracle.
When Aegean returned to his core, I was certain we had lost you.
Honestly, you call yourselves soldiers. First aid? Anyone heard of it?
But his wounds...
Just scratches. Nothing me and Dromark can't handle.
You saved... Thank you, Nia. I truly don't know how to... I will never be able to repay you for what you...
Oh, don't sweat it. Let's just say you owe me one. That'll do fine, right?
Nia. You shouldn't be up. It's only been one day. Please don't strain yourself.
Half a day off and look at all this paperwork. I swear, it's like they don't want me to sleep at all.
Majesty.
Special Inquisitor, I hereby issue you new orders. It is my wish that you travel with the Aegis as an emissary of the Empire. Guard her, and defend her against her enemies until she reaches Tantal.
Guard the Aegis.
I've already discussed it with His Eminence.
Forgive me, Your Majesty. I cannot accept. Just think about what happened yesterday. It would be sheer foolishness for me to leave your side.
Is that so?
Huh?
I can see it in your eyes. It's clear that the Aegis, or rather, that boy, has made a great impression on you.
That's not... I am your Special Inquisitor. Ensuring Your Majesty's safety is my only concern. To abandon that duty and go traveling... Is this... Aegeon's?
A driver who cannot even protect himself is no driver at all. Yesterday's events have made me keenly aware that I have no aptitude for it. It will be of more use in your hands.
Majesty.
The world is changing, Morag. I trust you more than anyone to lend that boy the wisdom and strength he will need. I miss it, you know. Lake Util and Gormott.
What?
Remember when the two of us would shake off the servants and go swimming there?
Yes. Of course.
Kids from the nearby village would come too. Good times.
Majesty.
If more Ardain, no, the whole of Allrest, could be like that again, wouldn't it be beautiful?
Is that my new duty then?
In truth, it should have been you sitting in this chair right now.
The Imperial line has always passed from father to son. On the day Your Majesty was born, that's exactly what happened. I knew that day would come. It came as no surprise.
You were raised by my father to take the throne of the Empire, as befits the daughter of my Lord Uncle Andrig.
And I am grateful for it. If not for him, I would never have met Bridget. Never have met them. I'd have missed out on so much.
There. Those are your true feelings. A magnificent power resides in you. Morag, power like yours exists to be used.
Niall.
You've been tied down long enough. Follow your heart, Morag Lidair.
I have no words. Thank you, Your Majesty. Very well then. I hereby accept the task you have assigned to me.
That's the Morag I know and love. Make me proud.
So that's how it is. It seems our paths continue to entwine.
That's awesome news. To be honest, I was really hoping there was some way you could stick around. I was just thinking of asking you myself.
Saved you the trouble, did I?
That you did. Thanks a bunch, Morag.
I can't help but feel that in all the confusion surrounding Banner, our concerns have been neatly swept aside.
The Praetorium maintains absolute control over blade distribution. It is quite vexing.
Awakening rates from natural cores are very low, which limits the pool of compatible drivers.
So to create large numbers of drivers, the cleansing Indol provides is a necessity. That much I'm willing to accept. The real problem is the fact that the Aegis has awakened. Now, this is no time to be squabbling over territory. If we misread the situation even a little, Uriah itself could be sunk to the Cloud Sea's bed. Emperor Niall must surely be thinking the same thing. That's why he sent his precious Morag to shepherd them along.
And now we find ourselves in their debt.
Who could have predicted such an act of selflessness? Was it just the passion of youth, or was it...
My liege?
In any case, for now we should keep our troops mobilized while we monitor the situation. I hardly expect Tantal will comply with the Praetor's plan so easily either.
So, I'll be frank. Just looking at my script, this will be a much shorter video than I expected originally. And not a whole lot unique happens. It's mostly a cleanup episode with the fun little Saurus fight and minimal story content. However, I promise that with the next episode, the exact opposite is happening. Minimal side content, maybe a unique monster or two here and there. And I've decided to be extremely ambitious with the story, so join me back here next time, where I finish Chapter 6, and then probably do the entirety of Chapter 7, a combination of which is going to lead to the absolute hardest fights in the entire game in one video. The next episode takes a month to come out. Blame my struggles and also Elden Ring, because I'm playing that at the moment, and also I think maybe some other games are coming up soon that I want to play. Anyway, but first, I pull exactly one core crystal on Zeke.
Greetings, Dahlia. Allow me to make your life as enchanting as possible. We'll be great together, I do declare.
Just in time.